The NBA Gambling Podcast on the Sports Gambling Podcast Network is brought to you by Rhythm, the leading diver in picks and props. Rhythm's also giving away $200 future and throwing a March Madness party. Go to sportsgambling.com/party for details. Reminder, you can also compete against SGPN this March in an epic March, once again, Madness competition for Survivor. First place gets $75,000. Enter at splashsports.com/SGPN. And SGPN is also giving away $2,000 in our free, keyword free, March Madness bracket competition. Sign up today at sportsgamblingpodcast.com/bracket. And welcome everybody to the NBA Gambling Podcast here on the Sports Gambling Podcast Network. It is currently Thursday morning, March 13th, roughly 11 a.m. Eastern Time. I'm your host, episode Scott Reichel, joined by Lonte Smith. Together, we're going to break down the Thursday card in the NBA. Lonte, first of all, is going with you. How was your Wednesday?
Wasn't good on the show, I can tell you that. Lost the lock and dog, but I think overall handicapping was okay. Just lost those two. So yeah, looking to bounce back today, but overall pretty good.
Yeah, overall, any takeaways from the games yesterday? I know that the Nuggets game on TV was kind of a waste of space, but
Yeah,
decent amount of competitive games yesterday.
yeah,
So
definitely.
anything?
OKC just been freight train. Even without J Dub, I thought it was. I mean, we were kind of whenever we were doing the show, it was kind of up in the air whether the two J's were going to play. They ended up playing. Not Jalen ended up fouling out, not playing well at all. I mean, the Thunder just keep getting disrespected and they keep winning. So I thought that was a really good performance by them, shorthanded. Um, Outside of that, I don't think it was much else. I mean, that was a good win for Minnesota. I thought I had Denver in the game. I thought it was a bad matchup for them, but Minnesota came and played, and they played extremely well from start to finish. I think they dominated that game pretty much start to finish. So,
Yeah, they won by 20. I believe they won each individual quarter as well.
yeah, yeah,
You had the Knicks buzzer beater at the end by Bridges, which was pretty wild. The whole game was crazy.
yeah,
But
it
Bridges
was.
did hit the
It
game
was.
winner at the end. Yeah, besides that, nothing else that really jumped off the page to me. I know Fox was one rebound away from a triple-double. He played well. Phoenix lost again. What else is new?
I had
Miami's
them.
Miami's still terrible in the fourth quarter. Grimes looks really good, but the rest of Philly's team's terrible. They lost to Toronto. And Trae Young went 21 of 21 from the free throw line. But I do want to point out the Oklahoma City game against the Celtics. I think my favorite part of the actual aftermath of the game was Celtics fans complaining about the whistle disparity. When they attempted 63 three-pointers, they were complaining about not getting enough free throws, and OKC ended up outshooting them they ended up attempting 23 more free throws. Maybe because you set the all-time league record in three-point attempts and a half. Maybe that's why I didn't get many free throw attempts, but I found the defensive game plan for Oklahoma City fascinating because they were in a zone for almost the entire first half and then went to man in the second half. And apparently it worked because I guess they conditioned Boston into getting a bunch of wide open looks, and then they clamped everyone down and Boston couldn't have shot the entire second half. So I guess that worked out by diagonal. Pretty interesting strategy, but it paid off. I thought Shea was great last night. I thought Tatum was pretty good too. Tatum did not make a three, though, in the second half, so he kind of went cold. But Jaylen Brown was atrocious. He had 10 points on 5 of 15 shooting, 0 of 5 from 3. He fouled out. He was a liability for most of the night. But for the most part, Chet, I thought, was fantastic. He had 23 and 15. You saw Shea have a very smooth 34. I thought Shea played very well. And yeah, supporting cast for Oklahoma City stepped up. So great win for OKC in Boston. And yeah, I feel like I do want to ask you in general, though, about the late game. I know Denver is a team that just beat Oklahoma City in the last game. They could not have shot the game after. Law of averages, they hit every shot against Oklahoma City. Then they couldn't have shot yesterday. How good is Minnesota? Because they've won 6 straight. I
Yeah,
think they've won like 10 or I forgot what they've won, like maybe 13 straight with Randall playing. It's like something that's impressive.
yeah.
How good's
Um,
Minnesota? Because this team's been really good the last month, and I am wondering how dangerous they could actually be.
yeah. I don't think much, to be honest. I mean, soft schedule. If you look at the opponents they played outside of Denver, I think it's not too many worthy opponents. I think it's a lot of tanking teams in there. But I mean, credit to them for winning. I just don't trust them in a playoff setting. Just depending on Ant 95% of the time. And I think when that playoff stuff happens, they'll play Gobert off the floor like they generally do in the playoffs. Randall, a little bit inefficient. He's been better
Yeah.
this month, don't get me wrong, but in a playoff setting where they got time to game plan from game to game and adjust, I think they'll end up taking him out and just forcing Ant into bad shots and forcing him to beat him, which, I mean, Ant can't do that. He's that good. but just over a sample size of 5, 6, 7 games, I don't think he can do it alone, especially against some of these teams that they'll be facing off against in that first round. And I mean, they're in the play-in right now, right?
Right now, they are technically tied with the Warriors, but they play 2 extra games. So right now, they are the 7th spot.
Yeah, so borderline play-in. If they can get into the playoffs, like if they can get the top few seeds and stay out of that play-in, maybe. I mean, Dante's been playing better as well, but Conley's been banged up, so you're going to be relying a lot on Shannon. A lot of those young guys have been playing well also. Mm-hmm. But, yeah, I mean, I'm not really sold on Minnesota right now. Obviously, it's matchup dependent, but I just don't think they match up well with a ton of the teams that they'll be facing potentially in the first round.
It's kind of ironic, though, because you say that, yet I feel like they match up better against Oklahoma City than most teams.
I can agree with that. Yeah, I can agree with that. Yeah.
So I find that fascinating. Yeah. But Minnesota, I think we're on the same page. At the end of the day, I'm not picking them to make a dream run to like the Western Conference Finals or anything, but can I picture them taking a 1 or a 2 seed, maybe a 3 seed to like 6 or 7 games? Sure. I can see that. I feel like they're going to be an annoying out. I'll put it that way for Minnesota. It took a little while to get going, and I know Randall's injury, and now he's back. He's played, I think, pretty well since coming back. Minnesota's a team that I just feel like has been impressive recently, but I can't tell if it's because they're actually good now or because we set the bar so low because they look so bad for the first couple months that them looking competent makes them look really good. So it could be either one, but I think Minnesota's done a pretty good job, especially Finch. Trying to get everything together over the last month or so, and it seems like they're starting to find their identity again. I do agree with you. Knicks fans especially know about the Julius Randle playoff series issues, and I feel like that might pop up again. So we'll see what happens in a potential playoff or maybe play-in situation for Minnesota. But they've been good lately, and I kind of wanted to give them some flowers because I think they've won 6 straight.
Yeah,
so
I definitely agree with that. Definitely agree with that.
I don't know. Anything else you want to talk about from yesterday?
I think that's it. I think it wasn't a ton of takeaways other than what we just went over. So yeah.
I think that was basically it. I know Plumlee and Steven Adams got ejected for a first half altercation. Adams would have been like minus 800 by knockout because you're not going to beat Adams in a fight. I saw the Jazz got suspended $100,000 for constantly benching Markkanen because of
he actually played.
I know. Just saying. So that was pretty amusing to me. But that's right in Danny Ainge's wheelhouse. So thought that was pretty interesting. But that's basically it. So anyway, that's going to wrap it up for the recap of yesterday. Time to move on into the actual card for Thursday. For that, though, I remind once again that we do have a couple promos going on for March Madness. We're giving away $2,000 in our free March Madness bracket competition. Go to sportsgamingpodcast.com/bracket to sign up today. Plus, a reminder, you can also compete against SGPN this March in our 75K winner-take-all college basketball Survivor contest. Enter at splashsports.com/SGPN. Starting off with the actual card. First of all, not many actual games on the card. We have a grand total of 5 games. So, bit of a quiet last couple of days in the NBA. But for the actual card, we're going to start off with a really bad game. Wizards against the Pistons, Part 2. Pistons are laying 13.5. The over-under is set at 235.5. Injury report, who cares? Just kidding. But the Wizards really doesn't matter. Koulibaly is out after landing on his head a couple days ago. Hopefully he's okay. Brogdon is still out because, of course, he is. Saddiq Bey hasn't played all year, basically. You got Poole who's supposed to play, Middleton's supposed to play, and yeah, that's basically it. For Detroit, they're fully healthy besides Ivy. So I'm going to ask you, because Detroit buried them the last time, and we know that the Pistons with Cunningham leading the way have been really, really good, especially post-All-Star break.
Mm-hmm.
I'm just going to go Detroit in this one because the Wizards, I don't think, are worth a damn, and the Pistons beat them by 20 exactly in each of the first 2 meetings of the season. So I'm taking Detroit at home. I got really nothing else to say. Anything you want to add?
Nah, man, I completely agree with you. Like you said, winning both games by 20 is impressive. There was no Poole last game. Cade was the only – I can make an argument that Detroit really didn't play that well. I mean, Cade was the only guy to have over 20. And Washington's bench outscored their starters 55-48. So
Poole did play, by the way. He had 15 points.
He played last game? He played against
He played against the Pistons. He was 5-15.
Oh, okay. Maybe I missed that. But yeah, I didn't really see a ton that's going to change here. I mean, Cade's got 27 plus in 5 straight. He's averaging 38 and 6 for that stretch. I just think they'll be Detroit's been dominant in the paint. If you look at their paint numbers, there's some really impressive. They have not been outscored in the paint in 22 straight games. I think they're averaging like plus 14.8 points in the paint against their opponents. So I think they'll be able to get downhill and get to the rim. No rim protection for Washington, although Sarr's been a little bit better than I expected this year. But overall, man, Detroit is going to be the side here. I mean, 7-2-1 ATS last 10. I don't see much changing. Washington had their streak where they were competitive, and now they were kind of back to the dregs. So, it would be Detroit team total over.
Yeah, Cade is always on the verge of a triple-double against this team. He had a triple-double in the first meeting. He was 2 rebounds short of a triple-double in the second meeting a couple days ago. So I think Cade triple-double could be on the cards. We might, on a separate note, disagree about Alex Sarr. Because you think that he's been better than you anticipated. I don't think he's any good. And
I didn't have much expectation. I thought he was going to be like really bad. I mean, he's been okay.
I was going to say that's also a problem when you have no expectations and he was the number 2 pick in the draft. It's probably not a good sign. But I mean, Sarr, maybe it's just the eye test. Every time I watch him play, he looks atrocious to me. And looking at the actual numbers, he's averaging 11.7 points per game and 6.7 rebounds per game, which sounds good on surface level. He's shooting 38.6% from the floor. He's 7 feet tall.
Yeah, that's
38% from the floor. What are you kidding me? He's shooting 30.9% from 3, 62.3% from the free throw line. Defensively, I think he's pretty good. He's averaging 1.5 blocks per game. That's, I think, his upside is defense. But he's a 7-footer shooting probably the lowest field goal percentage I've seen from a 7-footer in a long, long time.
Yeah,
for like a lot of minutes.
Yeah, he takes bad shots away from the rim. He's not really good with his touch around the rim. So yeah, I mean that was a knock on him coming in. But yeah, the thing is, I just didn't have high expectations for him. But I mean, he's played well in certain spots. Again,
he's been good lately. I mean, he 21 against Utah. He had 10 and 14 against Toronto, 16-11 against Toronto. Had only 8 and 7 against Detroit. 22% from the floor. I'm just pointing it out there.
He's inefficient. Yeah,
if you're 7 feet tall and you're shooting 38% from the floor, we got to have a conversation. Your shot selection has to be better. And yes, the touch could be better. I remember in I'm drawing a blank on what's it called, Summer League. He had that one game where he was like 0 of 14 or whatever. He really wants to be like Rashad Lewis, Kevin Durant. You should probably spend more time in the paint. You can't shoot. Is that fair?
Yeah, that's definitely fair. Definitely.
So that's kind of my points there. I agree with Adam, though. He has been better lately by comparison, but 38% for a 7-footer. Like, I got to at least like harp on that. That's rough.
That's all.
But I'll go with the Pistons in this game regardless at home, especially, in front of that home crowd. Besides that, then moving on to the next game on the actual slate. For this game, I'll go with the Lakers against the Bucks, which was game of the night by default. But you could argue that it would have been a lot better about 2 weeks ago. So for this game, the Bucks are -6.5 after the loss on the Halliburton 4-point play. You have the over/under at 225.5. For the Lakers, you have Luka as a maybe, and after that, it all goes downhill. So you have Hachimura who's out, you have Jackson Hayes who's out, LeBron's out, Kleber's out. So you have Alex Len projected in the starting lineup. What year is it? For the Bucks, you have Damian Lillard is probable, Giannis is probable, you have Portis who's still suspended, and that's basically it. So I see 7s in some spots now, but I still see a couple 6.5s. Milwaukee's lost 3 in a row against good competition. For the most part, their Orlando loss is pretty rough. But losing to Cleveland, I can live with. Indiana, Halliburton came back, crazy game there. You probably should have won. Lakers, though, they lost to the Nets. They couldn't score because Reeves and Doncic couldn't hit a shot to save their lives. But I'll ask you, do you want to lay 6.5 with Milwaukee at home, or do you think the Lakers somehow find a way to hang in there?
Man, I'm torn because I think we'll see a max effort game from the Lakers after JJ called them out for their basically lack of effort, for better language. And this is back-to-back losses that he's called out and questioned their effort. So I think the effort will be there. I just don't think they have enough bodies. I mean, Giannis should be able to dominate in the paint with, the lack of interior presence for them. And Reeves and Luka will likely bounce back and not shoot as poorly as they did against the Nets. And you look on the other side, just, Milwaukee's lost 3 straight. Like you mentioned, they're 0-2-1 ATS in that span. But they do match up well, like from a matchup perspective, against this specific version of LA because
they have no size.
Exactly. And so Giannis can get downhill. You got Brook Lopez who can actually post up a little bit more now. He won't have to, be around the basket. I mean, be around the 3-point line. I mean, I know he's good there, but this should be a game where he can kind of look to rebound and get in the paint a little bit more, kind of like what he did when he was in Brooklyn, more inside out. So I think the number is probably about right. I would play Lakers early, so I would play Lakers first half, Milwaukee full game, thinking that we get the max effort early on, and then it kind of Milwaukee's dip, because Milwaukee still has a decent amount of dip, kind of wears LA down. And I think it'll be a slow-paced game. I like the under. Lakers are under in 8 of the last 10. One thing that hasn't changed is Lakers play really good defense, even with Luka in the lineup, and Reeves, who are supposed to be 2 of the quote unquote worst defenders, but they play pretty well.
They try hard.
Yeah, and that's all you can do. That's all it's about, effort. And I think we'll see a max effort from those guys tonight. Shots will be falling early. I just think Milwaukee will wear them down later in the game. So I would go under if I had to make a play. I would go, like I said, Lakers first half, Milwaukee full game.
Yeah, so I think I agree, but instead of going with the spread, I'll just take Milwaukee 1-10. Milwaukee should win this game, but I feel like they're going to mess around and this game will be close for no reason down the stretch. So I don't mind Milwaukee 1-10. I see Adam mentioning a Reeves RA for this game, which I agree with. Couldn't have shot, but he was still good at rebounding and assisting against the Nets. I found the call out by Redick a bit weird because I watched a decent amount of that game as a Nets fan. I thought the effort was fine. They just couldn't have shot. I didn't think the effort was like that bad. Luka and Reeves, to mention the actual stats again, it was just insanely bad. And Luka did have a triple-double in that game. But Luka and Reeves combined to go 11 of 40. I'm not complaining about effort. 11 of 40 is crazy from your best 2 players. Like, I feel like that was a bit of a one-off. I see them bouncing back here. Milwaukee gives up a ton of wide-open looks from the outside, so it wouldn't shock me if Reeves or Luka had a pretty big game from 3. But I do think that 6.5, it sounds right. Milwaukee should win. I like Giannis' rebounds in this game because the last 2 games against last 2 games against the Lakers, he had 14 plus. He had 21 in the last game against the Lakers. Lopez, despite being 7 feet tall, never been a good rebounder. I see a good spot for Giannis to rack up boards. I agree about Reeves, though, and the RA makes a lot of sense. They got to do rebounding by committee for this team right now, and Reeves definitely contributes to that. So I don't mind Reeves on that angle as well. Moving on to before we get into the next game, I want to remind once again that we are brought to you by EdgeBoost, because EdgeBoost partner up with SGPN. EdgeBoost card allows the ability to avoid being hassled by having your card denied at the sportsbook, DFS site, sophisticated racetrack, casino. And a reminder, you can also earn cash rewards, $70 per month in cash back rewards by using the EdgeBoost card. Your money is also safe if the card's FDIC insured, and best part, no credit checks, and it's completely free. Sign up today with the code SGPN so you get better cash rewards into Tier 2 status. EdgeBoost.bet, promo code SGPN. We're also brought to you by MyBookie. MyBookie is the place to bet in every sport. They props in every game. They also have a way of betting from a ton of locations because they can use crypto. And if you want to use crypto for depositing or withdrawals, you can get that lightning fast. And you can also use the promo code SGPN when you sign up at mybookie.ag for 100% deposit match up to $1,000. And once again, that's mybookie.ag, promo code SGPN for a 100% deposit match up to $1,000. Welcome back, everyone, to the NBA Gambling Podcast. Finished breaking down the first 2 games on the card. Time to move on to the next game. Speaking of my Nets, you have the Nets against the Bulls. What an ugly sounding game, but the Bulls are laying 2.5. The over-under is set at 230.5. For the actual injury report, you have no Giddey, which is a damn tragedy. Alonzo's a game-time decision. Noah Clowney's out. So you have D'Angelo Russell who's supposed to play, Cam Thomas supposed to play, Cam Johnson supposed to play. For the Bulls, you have whatever the hell this backcourt is with Trey Jones, Kevin Huerter, and Kobe White. You have Buzelis and you have Vucevic. Bulls are laying 2.5. I'm going to go with the under. 230.5 is massive to me. When the Nets can't really score, and Giddey's been their best player for Chicago by a mile, and he's out, 230.5. Give me the under. And this total's too high. For the side, I might actually go Nets. This game feels very, very back and forth to me, but the Nets are using pretty much full strength for this game, and the Bulls are missing their best player. So I know Vucevic has had a great year. He was injured for a couple of weeks there, but Giddey emerged as being a phenomenal option for this team for about a month, and now he's out. I can't lay this without Giddey in the lineup. So I think it's Nets, but I prefer the under. 230.5 feels like it's based on Chicago's defensive reputation, but I don't know how they're going to score because Giddey was such a key piece. So I'm going with the under.
Yeah, I agree with everything you just said. Maybe look at, I mean, I know this is hard to do, but maybe look live because Brooklyn, if people want to know what's the proper way to tank, Brooklyn's
good early.
Yeah. They're winning 8 straight up last 9. 4 of those losses came from giving up big leads, double-digit leads, 18, 25, 22, and 17. And their last 4 games have been decided by 5 or less. They're winning 3 straight up, 2-1 ATS. So that's
they were kicking Cleveland's ass last game, and then they fell apart.
They were. So. They're just the epitome of the perfect tanking team. I mean, they are 20-13-1 ATS on the road, 30-24-1 ATS as a dog. I mean, I've been back in Chicago a ton, but like you said, without Giddey, it's kind of tough. I mean, they're seeking their first 4-game winning streak since 2023. So
I'm shocked they won 4 in a row in 2023.
I mean, it's pretty much the same team. Just, a couple players missing here and there, but they've won and covered 3 straight. They're 5-3 straight up the last 8. Kobe's been excellent. He's averaging 28 points per game over his last 6. I would lay it here with Chicago. I know it's not ideal without Giddey, but I think Chicago can do just enough to get a win down the stretch. I don't trust Brooklyn's offense. Defensively, they're okay. But I think Chicago can do just enough. They got Vucevic back. They got Patrick Williams back. I know they were on a minutes restriction. But again, I think they should be able to Vucevic should be able to pull those guys away from the basket, hit a couple of threes. Kobe, I think, will have a good game as well. So I like Chicago. I do like the under, though. I think it's a little bit too high based on reputation, like you mentioned.
By the way, for comparison, because I was actually curious what Giddey's numbers were pre and post All-Star break. So pre All-Star break, Giddey was averaging about 12, 7, and 6. Post All-Star break in 9 games, 23, 11, and 8.
Yeah, he's been amazing.
In 9 games, 23, 11, and 8. He's been an absolute machine, but he's not available. I think that's a big loss. So the problem with the Bulls is I feel like their offense right now is pretty limited without Giddey because they're going to need White, who I think we'd agree can score a lot of points, but the playmaking could use some work. Not exactly the best facilitator for a point guard or for what he's listed as as a small forward.
He's like a combo guard.
Yeah. Crazy, yeah. But I think you'd agree with me. His assisting is not the best. It could definitely be improved upon. And you have Vucevic. So you basically have 2 options that I really half trust offensively. The Nets have guys. Like Cam Thomas can score. We know that Russell can score. Johnson's a good 3-point shooter as well. I just think the Nets have a bit more scoring depth, actually, at least compared to this current Bulls team. But I like the under. I think this total's way too high. But moving on to the next game. You have the Magic, who are favored on the road. Damn, the Pelicans are bad. They're favored on the road against the Pelicans, and the over-under set at 217.5. For the injury report, the main key name here is Zion. He's active, so there you go. You have McCollum, who's also healthy. You have Murphy, who's healthy. Missy is questionable. For Orlando, fully healthy with the exception of Suggs. But Olynyk is also out for New Orleans. So I understand the Magic are 6 under, and the Pelicans are 30 under. Zion has, according to Shaq, unimpressive triple-doubles, but triple-doubles nonetheless. I'm going with the Pelicans here. They've been a lot better at home than on the road. Orlando's been horrible on the road. Why would I want to lay 2.5? The Pelicans looked good against the Clippers last game. They've been competitive. Zion looks incredible. I don't really like what I've seen from Orlando. Yes, they did beat Milwaukee, but they almost choked that game late too. Lillard just missed that 3 at the end. I'll go with New Orleans. I think the wrong team's favored in this game.
Yeah, I like Orlando at pick where it opened. I think it was pick -1, something like that. But right now, I would have to take the Pelicans. I mean, they've covered 2 in a row. They were bigger dogs in that spot, so they're in a little bit lesser spot here. But there's completely different when Zion's in the lineup. And like you said, he's active tonight. They're 18-14-1 ATS at home. Zion's got 2 triple-doubles in the last 2 weeks. I think that those are the only 2 of his career, if I'm not mistaken. Pelicans been feisty, man. They don't have a lot of talent without Zion on the floor. But they got some guys that I like, and they've had 7 double-digit scores in each of their last 3 games. So they're getting a lot of production from a lot of unimportant guys, I would say. And I mean, you like Orlando 1-4 straight up in ATS last 5. They're 12-20 ATS on the road. They do perform a little bit better as a favorite, 20-17. But since the All-Star break, 10-22 straight up in 2025. Well, I'm sorry, not since the All-Star break, but since 2025, 10-22 is their record. So
to be fair, though, you mentioned the favorite record. They were the home team for a lot of those games.
Yeah, a lot of those games. Yeah, for sure. Just and I mean, you would think that they played a lot better without like both of those guys, which is kind of weird. But but I think it's correlated. I think if you like Orlando, you want to take under, and if you like the Pelicans, you want to take over, just simply because of the style of play. Pelicans want to push the ball. They got the depth to withstand. Orlando's offense is horrible, so they're going to slow the game down and kind of play through the half-court sets with Paolo and Franz. So I like New Orleans and over. I think New Orleans will be able to score. I know Orlando's defense grades out well, but like I said, since the calendar for 2025, it has not been as impressive. They did a lot of that. A lot of those numbers are suppressed from early on in the season when they were kind of rolling.
And when Suggs was healthy.
Yeah, and playing above their skis. So I like Pelicans and over. one thing else, Orlando allowed 63 total rebounds last game, 20 of those offensive. So I think Zion has another monster game. So I would look for Zion, double-double, PR over. I would look at all of those markets.
Yeah, I think that Zion should just have a monster game. I feel like Adam touched upon it where he said that Zion looks so elite when he actually plays.
Yeah, he does.
I think when Zion plays, I think he's a top 10 offensive player in the league. I don't know how you guard the guy, to be fully honest with you. He's like a mini Barkley. I mean, the last time you remember him being fully healthy, he had 40 in a play-in game and he got injured.
The Lakers, yep.
Like I think Zion is an absolute monster. The problem is I'd say the motivation and the lack of, I'd say, maturity. I think we'd agree on is the main flaw for Zion. It's fine he doesn't shoot because he knows he can't shoot, so he doesn't bother jacking up like Giannis 3-pointers when that whole thing was a thing. When he couldn't shoot, but he was still taking like 3 a game. He's not Westbrook. I know he's been better this year, but you get what I'm trying to say. Yeah. Zion knows the limitations, and I like it because he knows if he gets downhill, nobody can stop him. And his touch around the rim's incredible. So I like Zion to have a great game too. I like Murphy as well. The 3-point shooting be a bit streaky, but I think Murphy is a very solid player, and McCollum's been fine lately. So as you said before, they've been getting a lot of depth scoring recently. Alvarado's been good too. Of course, we know that he can be a pest defensively. I don't think Orlando should be favored on the road. And I think New Orleans has been, I'll put it this way, a lot better than the 30 under 500 record they have. So give me the Pelicans to get the job done at home here in the, the Smoothie King Center?
Yep, Smoothie King.
So I'll go with, once again, Zion to perform well here. Maybe he'll get a smoothie after the game to celebrate. But I'll go with, once again, Zion to dominate. Give me the Pelicans in this one. For the total, these teams are just the polar opposites.
Man. Yeah, they are. Yeah.
They're the polar opposites. I'll go over because I'm picking New Orleans to win, but I don't feel great about it.
Right.
But I do want to ask you, though, about your thoughts, because we have some time to kill. We're at like 27 minutes. We have one game left. I want to dive more into Orlando. Do you think long-term Franz and Paolo can work together? Because I really don't know the answer, and they've been together for a few years already.
I think it's just they're going to get the same treatment that Jalen and obviously at a lesser level, but they're going to get the same treatment that Jalen and Jason got.
Something, yeah.
Yeah, they got to build another team. They got to build a better team around them because I don't think they have the requisite pieces around them to do it. Their offense absolutely is atrocious. Like they have nobody that can shoot. They have nobody that can create outside of those two guys. And Paolo is so to me, Paolo is not. He doesn't want to have the ball and be high usage. He wants to do his work in the mid post. He wants to catch and be more like Jason Tatum. And Jason Tatum had to learn, he had to learn that more. When Kyrie got there, he was more off ball, so he learned how to play off ball a little bit more. But they just expect so much from those two guys that they have to have the ball in their hands. And I don't think they're made to do that more so than, some of the pieces around them. Like they have to have it because Anthony Black can't shoot. Jalen Suggs has been better, and he's been missing. It's just showing his value.
Yeah, Suggs is really. He got paid a lot of money for an extension. Yeah. He earned it.
Yeah, he did.
They are terrible without him.
Yeah, and they just got to have some better shooting. They don't have a true big.
Wendell Carter's been a mess.
Batazi's been better than Wendell Carter. So and then Mo being out is another depth piece who. He's not as good as those two guys, but he plays well in that specific system whenever he's playing with Paolo and Franz. Obviously,
he gives energy. He provides energy to the team.
Exactly. So, they got to get better. They got to get better on the perimeter. They got to get a point guard, an actual true point guard. KCP's been. I thought it was a big addition. He's been a disappointment there. I think we both would say that. So, I think they got to do a better job in the offseason of getting guys in that are going to fit around Paolo and Franz instead of making guys fit in with them, if that makes sense.
Yeah, I agree. I feel like one issue that you're running into with the Magic, focusing on the elite players, and it's not really their fault because supporting cast doesn't really help them at all with spacing. Paolo's advanced numbers are horrible. And I feel like when you're looking at his overall usage, as you said before, it's a lot of mid-range stuff, which, don't get me wrong, works for Shea. You have a couple guys who can operate, DeRozan, for example, who can get you buckets in the mid-range. But Paolo's game feels very inefficient to me. Is that just me? Like, I feel like Paolo, I think he needs to work a bit more on his shot selection, and I feel like that's an issue. Once again, it could be because supporting cast isn't very good.
I think it's a
and
mixture.
He's forced into a lot of grenades because they don't have any options besides that. But
I agree with that. Yeah.
That doesn't help him. But I don't know. I feel like Paolo's game is modeled after like being a worse version of prime Carmelo. Is that fair? Like I think he's like
a diet version of Tatum. I think he plays exactly how Tatum played at Duke, and at early on in his career. I mean, you just think about.
I think Tatum was a better 3-point shooter though, because
Yeah,
was shooting like 31% from three.
Yeah, I can agree with that. But just style of play. I mean, if you just look at, I mean, there's similar physique. They both made those playoff runs when they were. That was Paolo's second year that he made that run last year, and not first year, right?
Well,
yeah. So
it depends how you define run. They lost in Game 7 of the first round.
Well, they weren't. Well, he overachieved, I would say, and I think Jason kind of overachieved his rookie year when he was in the Eastern Conference Finals. So, yeah, I think he's more Jason Tatum than Carmelo, but I can kind of see where you're going. All three of those guys are similar. Like play style. So I can see what I meant. Yeah, I can see what you mean.
The last point I'll ask you, because I asked this question to Terrell a month ago, who do you think's better right now, Franz or Paolo?
I would take Paolo over Franz.
Okay.
Yeah, I would take. I mean, I don't think it's like a home run, but I just think that Paolo's able to do a little bit more. He's better. I mean, now I'm putting this subjectively, but I think he's better defensively. Franz, when Franz shot's not falling, as we saw in the playoffs, I mean, it's not good. Like at least when Paolo's shot's not falling,
he can contribute in other ways.
Yeah, he's more aggressive going to the rack. He can post up. He can pass out of the double teams. They can put him at the mid post area. He can score. Franz is kind of, I mean, he gets to the rim, but Paolo will ferociously attack the rim. But I mean, I can see if some people say Franz. I mean, I wouldn't. I mean, it's an argument. I don't think it's like a home run, but I would take Paolo over Franz.
Yeah, I'm with Adam. I think that I'm on the Franz train here. According to all the on-off numbers this year, I know that on-off can be a bit skewed. They are so much better with Franz on the court than with Paolo on the court. It's not even close. But I think as of right now, I would take Franz today. But over the course of a franchise for the next few years, you take Paolo because the upside's higher as a former #1 pick. But right now, I would take Franz. If I had to pick better today, I think Franz a bit more polished. I'll put it that way. But anyway. That was the brief segue I wanted to mention for Orlando. Moving on to the last game. You have the Kings against the Warriors. So Warriors are laying 7.5. The over-under's at 233.5. Big injury news for this game. Kuminga probably going to play for Golden State. For the Kings, you have Sabonis, who's questionable, who's missed about a week and a half or 2 weeks. Other than that, though, everyone else is fully healthy besides maybe Laravia, who's also a game-time decision. Yeah, I'm going to go with Golden State. I'm not really going to think much about it. Golden State killed this team by about 20 a couple weeks ago. Golden State's playing great basketball. They've won 10 of 11. Butler to triple-double last game against the Trailblazers. The Kings gave up 133 to the Knicks with no Brunson. That's rough.
They shot the cover off the ball, though.
I know they did, but that's still rough, though.
Yeah, no, I'm not saying
it's 29 to a Brunson-less Knicks team.
Yeah.
Give me Golden State as one of the hottest teams in the league.
Yeah, I'm going to go the other way. Sacramento's had 2 days off. They're likely getting some bonus back. I know they got Monk back last game. He came in and, does what he did. He scored 21 points. They're 3.5 games back of Golden State. They're 7-3 ATS the last 10. The only issue, Golden State has been really, really good since getting Butler. They've won 12 of 14. They're 6-3-1 ATS last 10. They don't really cover a lot of numbers at home, but a lot of the metrics and numbers ATS are skewed because they only had Butler for, a small amount of time. So I don't really look too much into numbers wise. But the one thing that Sacramento doesn't do well, man, they do not defend the three. They're 30th in 3-point percentage defense, which is scary. With Steph, who's got a lot more freedom now that Jimmy's in the lineup. Kuminga coming back. I'm not really a Kuminga. Yeah, I'm not really a Kuminga guy, but whatever. I
might not be a Kuminga starter guy, but Kuminga bench minutes I can get behind.
Yeah, maybe. Yeah, I can with that. He plays hard, extremely hard, really high motor.
The shot selection can be a problem. But yeah.
It's horrible. His shot selection is horrible. But yeah, Golden State is not that good defending the three as well. 17th in 3-point percentage defense. They suck at shooting free. How do you suck at shooting free throws and you got the best free throw shooter in NBA history? I don't understand that. They're 27.
Well, you got Draymond on the team. You got Looney on the team. You got a couple of bench players who can't really shoot that well.
Yeah, so I would only imagine what they would be without Steph.
They're better now with Butler being there. Of course.
Yeah, that's true. That's true. But yeah, I like Sacramento in the points. I think they'll be able to score on this defense. I think that the trio of Monk, Levine, and DeRozan will be able to match whatever the trio of the double of Steph and Jimmy. And then they got guys that throw at Jimmy. They got multiple guys that throw at Jimmy, which is not said for a lot of these other guys, a lot of these other teams that played him.
I mean, yes, based on size. The question is, do any of the guys matched up on Butler actually guard anybody? But
No. Yeah. I was more so saying just about wearing them down a little bit. Not.
I get what you're saying. I'm just
yeah.
saying it's kind of a matador defense approach for the Kings. But yeah, anyway, sorry.
Yeah, but I like the Kings. I like the over as well. All three meetings went over this year: 240, 240, and 228 were the scores. Golden State's over in 6 of the last 10. I just spoke on the 3-point percentage defense for both of these teams can be they leave a lot to be desired. So I think both offenses have success. I hope that we get Sabonis in the lineup because I like the combo of Valanciunas and Sabonis. I know we talked about that a while ago, but yeah, I like the Kings, man, going forward. Keegan's been playing a lot better whenever he's like the fourth option, so he's kind of like the throwaway in the corner. He could just make corner threes and run the floor. So
Keegan Murray really is like 2025 Rashad Lewis. That's basically what he modeled his entire game after. I think Lewis was a bit more volume happy, but same idea. He's going to stretch the floor, stand in the corner.
Absolutely. I mean, he does, and that's a good role. That's a good role to carve out to make a lot of money in the NBA, as we've seen with Rashard Lewis. But yeah, I like the Kings here. I like the over. I think this is going to be one of the more higher paced, higher scoring games on the slate.
Yeah, I think Golden State drops like 125. So I'll go.
I don't disagree with
cover.
That.
I'll go with the over as well. But the Kings, they can't guard anybody. Like that's the main issue you run into. They gave the Clippers a run for their money. Did lose in that Kawhi buzzer beater, but that Knicks game is just so bad. I mean, they were playing decently before that. They lost to Denver by 6 on the road. They were competitive, beat Dallas by 24. But they were playing fine. Golden State, though, a reminder that the one loss they had over the last week and a half was when Grimes went off and Butler didn't play. So when Butler plays, they win almost every game at this point. So I'll go with Golden State in this one. I think they might blow them out in this game, to be honest. But the Kings, they need Monk, DeRozan. I'll put it this way. They need 2 of the 3 between Monk, DeRozan, and Levine to go off. And I'm skeptical because I do think that with Butler, this defense has been very good for Golden State. So give me Golden State to just get better shots in terms of quality over the course of these 48 minutes. That's enough for me to get them the cover. Anyway, that's going to wrap it up for all the games on the card. Before we get into the actual lock and dog picks, wanted to remind once again that we're brought to you by Rhythm because they're having an Epic March Madness party. You're all invited. A reminder that all Rhythm users are invited to the First Four Watch Party Wednesday, March 19th at the Awesome Stadium Swim at Circle Las Vegas. I know that Lonte will be in Vegas, but I'm not sure if we're going to overlap or not. We'll see. Free drinks, plus you get to hang out with the guys from SGPN. It gets better. Rhythm also is giving away a $200 March Madness future for one lucky Rhythm user. You don't have to actually be in Vegas, though, to get, once again, into the drawing. So if you cannot make the party, that's fine. You can still win the future bet. Come by, Rhythm help you with your bracket and also make some bets while you're there. Free party plus chance to $200 future bet. Go to sportscom.com/party for details. We're also brought to you by Underdog Fantasy, NBA, NHL, college basketball, whatever sport you can cash in on, including tennis as well. You can win big with Underdog Fantasy Pick'em. They also have great promos for Luka because Underdog's offering a Luka Doncic discount for every Lakers game for the remainder of the regular season. And a reminder, you can use the promo code SGPN when you sign up for your new account to claim a special pick and sign deposit offer up to a 1K bonus cash on fantasy promo code SGPN. Welcome back, everyone, to the NBA Gambling Podcast. Finished breaking down the slim slate that we have on the NBA card. Now it's time for the lock and dog picks. Lonte, I'm going to let you go first. What are your lock and dog picks for the Thursday card?
Yeah, let's lock up the Pelicans at that plus. Is it still plus 2.5? Yeah, so I'll take. Yeah, I like the Pelicans at home. I mean, they're just a completely different team with Zion in the lineup. That's simply the entire handicap is based on if he's in the lineup or not. They've been playing a lot better, been getting a lot of production from their bench. I think Orlando's offense won't have enough to keep up with what the Pelicans want to do. Love Trey Murphy. Love the way Zion's been playing. So I think they overmatch Orlando in this specific spot. So I'll take the Pelicans as a lock plus 2.5. As a dog, I'm gonna take Sacramento. I think Sacramento can win the game outright. So let's take them to get it done in short trip to Golden State.
Yeah. So for my lock, my dog, I feel like I had a good gauge on. The question is what I want to do for a lock. I really thought about Golden State, to be honest, but you know what? I think I'll trust my instincts on this one. I'm just going to go with Giannis rebounds in this game at around 12.5. I think the line's too low. Said before, he's at 14 plus in 2 straight against the Lakers, had 21 in the last game against the Lakers. I just question the lack of size that LA actually has for this game. You have no Hayes, you have no LeBron, you're missing your starting front court. You have Alex Len, who was a free agent for a reason. Like, he's not very good. And we know Lopez is going to also stretch the floor. Not the greatest rebounder in the world. Giannis, though, at 17 rebounds against the Pacers last game. 12.5 to minus 115. I think that it's a very good number. I'll take Giannis over 12.5 rebounds at minus 115 as my lock. For my dog, I am going to go with the Pelicans, but I'm also going to throw in Zion 20 points. Zion 25 points and a win was plus 265. But Zion's been really just hovering around 20 lately. So give me Zion 20 points and Pelicans money line at plus 157 as my dog for the show. If Pelicans win, I think Zion has at least 20. So I'll just bank that. I'll just bank on that for some extra value for the Pelicans to get the job done at home. Now, for the actual underdog entry, Lonte, I'm going to ask you, I feel like we agree on Giannis rebounds.
Yep, and we agree on Zion. So that's 2 right there.
Well, I don't actually know what we agree with for Zion because his line is over the 20.5. His line set at 23.5, and he has gone under in 3 straight. So I do want to ask you: do you want to go for Zion points anyway?
I like his PR.
I think his PR.
Okay.
Yeah. So his PR is set at 30.5. He has gone under this in 2 games against the Magic. If you want to go for the rebounds only and you want to go for that pivot, you can't get his rebounds at 6.5.
Yeah, well, let's do that. Yeah, let's do that.
He's had 10 rebounds in 2 of the last 3.
Yeah,
so
let's do that.
We'll do that too. And then for the last option, you know what? I actually like that Reeves play that was mentioned before.
Yeah, Adam brought that up. Yeah,
his rebounds and assists I think is pretty appealing. At I see 11.5. I think that's pretty reasonable.
Yeah.
Against the Nets, he had 18 last game. So I think that once again, with LeBron being out, the usage should be there. He also had 24 last game against the Bucks and 12 the game prior. So he's actually been very good, historically speaking, against Milwaukee. So the 3 choices we're going to go with for the underdog entry, we'll go with, once again, Giannis higher, 12.5 rebounds. We'll go with Reeves higher, 11.5 rebounds and assists. And we'll go with Zion higher, 6.5 rebounds, and that'll be the 3-pick entry for underdog. Anyway, that's going to wrap it up for this episode. I'm back once again tomorrow. Lonte, anything else you want to add before we wrap up the show?
That's about it, man. See you guys tomorrow. Hopefully you can bounce back from yesterday. Yep.
Sounds good. See all of you again tomorrow. Till next time, good luck to all of you and all of your bets. Bye, everyone.